'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our
Well, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Reverend Marcus Liefert. So glad to be with you this beautiful Sunday morning. Glad that you chose to make this church community a part of your life today. We hope that no matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter how you experience the sacred or whom you love, you will feel welcome here among us in the fullness of your being. If you're visiting with us for the first time, I especially welcome you to our community this morning. Everyone is invited to stick around after the service. Make your way all the way across the atrium into the social hall where we have lunch, freely offered every Sunday to gather around food and conversation, community and connection. Stay if you can. We acknowledge as we gather each week here at the intersection of arts, justice, and spirituality that we gather on the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. We know that we have inherited a broken covenant, and we hope that we will have the humility and the courage to live into a new solidarity with indigenous peoples and the earth. There is a memory book at the back of the sanctuary. Any Sunday, you're welcome to write something there if there's a joy or sorrow, grief or gratitude, anything on your heart that you'd like lifted aloud during our service. Write it there, and I'll read it during our pastoral prayer. You're always also welcome to simply light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. We are in a season of worship where we're talking about playing faithfully. What can we learn about our faith journeys and our common faithful life through the games we play? And we're talking today about chances and odds and what it means to live with the faith of conviction in the face of uncertainty. So will you rise in body or in spirit? And before we sing our first hymn, I'm going to invite you to turn towards the back of the sanctuary and wave to those joining us on Facebook, YouTube, online. So glad you're here with us. We feel you with us in spirit. And just turn and greet your neighbor. Wish them a happy Sunday.
freedom to shadow your dreams. Life-giving loser, wounded and weeping, dancing and leaping, sharing the caring that heals and redeems. Name unnamed, hidden and shown, knowing and known, Gloria.
I'd like to invite a very special person up to light our chalice this morning to introduce to you. This is Liesl Dees, who some of you must know already is our new intern minister. Liesl... yeah, give it a second. Liesl is a seminary student at Star King School for the Ministry. She comes to us with decades of experience with the Farmington, New Mexico congregation, and we are so glad she's with us. She's just volunteering a few hours a week this fall with our religious education program, and then we'll start full-time as our intern minister in December. So glad you're with us. Liesl will light our chalice as we share these words from Peggy Clark. There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, bring your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness, but in the midst of all these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that steady hunger for something more, the vision we glimpse every day. For this hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse, to give up, and to steady ourselves. Keepers of hope, brave builders of the still possible world. Come, let us worship together. Thank you, Liesl. And I've got a second special guest to introduce you to this morning. Renee Ben-Melech is a circle song leader. She's been leading circle songs and ritual music in Jewish and indigenous spaces for almost 25 years. We're lucky to have her this morning bringing a little bit of that circle song magic to our community. She's going to lead a little bit of it right now in the service, and then there'll be opportunities today to get a longer taste at 1 o'clock after you grab some lunch if you're interested, and an ongoing class to come. So Renee, take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy Sunday to everybody. I'm hearing so many beautiful themes today of play and the unknown. And so I want to tell you that I have nothing planned. For real. So the music that I'm about to make up here in this moment will happen in the moment. And there's no tonal or rhythm police. We just got all this beautiful singing from this lovely choir. But really, just bring your voice, move your body side to side, tap, something like that. Come along with us, okay? So I'm going to give parts to different sections of this room, okay? Right here. From the front to about midway back. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. You got it. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. And your job is just to hold that part. Beautiful. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. Do-dum-dum-dum, dum-dum-de. Subare dun dere, subare dun dere, subare dun dere, Subare dudere. Yeah, you good? Subare dudere. All right, hold each other up. Subare dudere. It's not easy to facilitate when people aren't in a circle because I can't hear them very well anymore. I can't hear you. Take this part with them. So you're holding this part on this side, yeah? Jabba jabba, 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 jabba jabba. Jabba jabba joy, jabba jabba, jabba jabba joy, jabba jabba, jabba jabba joy, jabba jabba, Jabba jabba Joe, 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 Jabba jabba Joe. Thank you so much for playing. And we hope to see some of you at 1 o'clock. We'll have a much more concentrated version of that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to tell you a story this morning that originates in the 1690s in England. That is a very long time ago. And it is about a peddler from a village called Swatham. And you can tell that maybe it's not made up because nobody would make up Swatham. Swatham. So, this is a peddler. A peddler's job back in the day was to go from small village to small village with a pack on his back, and he would sell and barter things like buttons, or hair combs, or copper pots. It's not a job that made this man very much money, but he had a house, a very small house, with a very nice tree in the backyard, and he was a happy man. And then one night, he had a dream. He had a really, really vivid dream. Maybe you've had one of those. And he woke up in the morning and he thought, I just had a dream that said, I need to go to London, which was the biggest town, somewhere he had never been. I need to go to London and stand on a bridge over the River Thames, and treasure will come my way. And he thought, well, that is a ridiculous dream. I am never doing that. I can't afford to just go to London. And so he didn't. And the next night, friends, he had the same dream, even more vivid. Leave your pack, go to London, stand on the bridge, treasure will come to you. And he thought, wow, 2 nights in a row, that's impressive. I can't do that. I'm a poor man, I need to work. I can't just jet off to London. Jetting is the wrong word there, because there was no jetting. He was going to walk to London. So he didn't go. And the next night, he had the same dream. And he woke up and he thought, this is ridiculous, I'm gonna go. And he did. He walked, he left his pack. It was clearly in his dream, not a work trip. So he walked to London and he found the bridge over the River Thames. And he stood there. Luckily, he had taken himself some food. He stood there. Nothing happened. He got up the next morning from sleeping next to the river, and he thought, well, I'm here, I'm going to give it another day. And he stood there, and nothing happened, and he felt absolutely ridiculous that he had done this. And he thought, well, I'm here one more day. And so he got up and he stood on the bridge for the third day, and still nothing seemed to be happening, except that a baker who had a shop very close to the bridge had seen this man just standing there for 3 days now, and he couldn't take it anymore. "What are you doing?" he said to the man. And the man explained about his dream and how it was very clear that he should come and there would be a treasure. And the baker said, "You are a foolish, foolish man to have done this. There is no treasure. I myself have had a dream for multiple nights that I should get up and go to a village called Swatham, where there is treasure buried under a tree behind a small house. And you don't see me going off, closing my shop and going to Swatham." And the man, the peddler from Swatham, smiled, said thank you to the baker, and went home and found his treasure. And that is my story. And if people could rise in body or spirit and sing the children out to both owl and RE with "The Spirit Says Do."
You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do. Oh Lord, you gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing. Oh Lord, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh. Oh Lord, you gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. 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 Gotta play when the Spirit says play. You gotta play when the Spirit says play. When the Spirit says play, you gotta play. Oh Lord, you gotta play when the Spirit says play. 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 Spirit says play.
Is this okay? Yeah, okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lenore Ralston. I've been coming to UUCB since 2011. This morning I'm going to talk to you about chalice circles and how this practice has strengthened my participation and deep connection within this community. Perhaps like many of you, at the time I started coming here, I was going through several big life transitions. I retired from UC Berkeley in 2010 after 20 years of service. I separated from a long-term relationship, and I left my then faith community, which was Temple Bethel. I was adrift and seeking a new emotional, spiritual, and intellectual home that could anchor me with trust and compassion through the next season of my life. Thanks to Reverend Dr. Jane Ramsey, I found myself at a 9 o'clock service with Bill and Barbara. I spent the first year quietly crying in the back pews, brought on by an enormous sense of relief. I was home with my people where I needed and wanted to be. I immediately joined a chalice circle, which focused on scientists. I needed a smaller group to make my way into church. The next circle I joined was with Kay Farewell. I met an entirely different group, and we still laugh about that chalice circle. And so it continued. Since 2011, every fall, every spring, I've either been a facilitator or a participant in a chalice circle. When church closed during COVID, we kept it open for 2 years, for the 2 summers. We mounted 2 summer programs. We made an effort to invite non-UU members, as is our practice, to join in our basically as a service to our wider community. And we've continued to use Zoom to connect with those congregants who tune in from other countries, other states, or who are at home with some sort of infirmity. Separately, after the death of my partner of 38 years in 2018, I attended 5 chalice circles simultaneously. When Dorothy passed, I was unable to hold up my end of a deep conversation. My mind and heart had locked themselves into a self-healing fog. Yet I still craved the richness of deep interpersonal interchange. If I couldn't speak, I knew I could listen. Chalice circles helped me survive my grief. So all of you who were in my circles know that you really helped me. I would say that through chalice circles, I've had at least one meaningful interchange with more than half of the congregants in this community. I wonder if those of you who have led chalice circles, would you raise your hands? And how about those of you, keep them raised, how about those of you who have participated in chalice circles? I want you to just look at how many of you there are. Chalice circles bring a kind of strength to this community because in those chalice circles we take risks and we learn about trust and we learn about confidentiality and we learn about our covenant and how to work the covenant. As a group facilitator, I experienced chalice members taking the scariest of steps to be open to one another, risking vulnerability and deepening trust and understanding of our covenantal relationships. Sometimes the scary step was intentional, and sometimes emotions simply burst out. Sometimes we were in tears, and sometimes the tears were followed by gales of laughter. My first chalice circle was with these senior moments come more often now. Okay, I'll get back to that. It will come to me. Trust is big, and it doesn't just happen. And trust for me, intertwined with faith, creates an undeniable blanket of comfort and care. So much has transpired since I first attended services in 2011. I have changed. UUCB has changed. The world has changed. But we have found an anchoring in our values. As UUs, we often speak of transformation and discernment. I have treasured some of those transformations that I've gone through, both at my own instigation, but also in conjunction with other UUs when they were going through a change and bumped and triggered one of mine. I have never before been so present in my own life. That one, I could tell that I was in a transformative process, and two, that I was liking myself and everybody else as one of the results. I love the Chalice Circle program with my whole heart. Please feel to ask questions of the Chalice Circle leadership group. There's going to be a kickoff in the fireside room after church. And there's also sign-ups for Chalice Circles. I really urge you, if you're new, or even if you're not new, because we need you in the circles to meet with the new people. Natalie Campbell, Lisa Maynard, Laura Palin, and Cynthia Asperides, they're our new leadership team. Or any of the people that you saw stand up. And I'm always, always glad to talk about Chalice Circles. Thank you.
I invite you to take a deeper breath, to settle more deeply into your seat, into this moment, to feel your connection down to this good, this sacred earth. To feel the blood pumping in your veins, the breath moving in and out, this life force that connects us all to one another, to all that has been, all that will be, all that is. There's always a reason not to take the next chance. To dig your heels in and refuse the gentle tug at your core, the call that will never go away, nor ever force you to heed its wild invitation. This week it was the little advertisement boxes, jarring plastic seduction squeezed in between the horror in the news and the depth of hurt and rage expressed so cartoonishly in one-sentence quips and annotated images. Enough to want to turn my weathered back on the whole affair. Give up on this species, this world, this life, to join the cynical cacophony, throw hands to the sky, flick wet drops from fingertips, and cry Pontius Pilate's enfeebled refusal. I absolve myself of the whole situation. God who tosses and turns, restless within us, who knows us in our outrage and our revulsion, who dwells in us with our sorrow, with our fear. Do not abandon us to our stunned silence, but continue to raise your quiet din of the soul. Bless us with a holy refusal to accept things as they are. Break through again and again the armor we have imagined would keep us safe, and let our hearts break open once more. Holy love, we know the chances aren't great. Each day we wake to a deck that seems stacked against all hope. Still love, steady our shoulders, beat in our hearts. Give us courage again this day, against all odds, to risk loving this world again. May we dwell in stillness, in quiet, with the blessing of life's noises amongst us. May we share a stillness together. In this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives. We lift up those joys and sorrows, griefs and gratitudes among us. Today, with Anonymous and with so many of us, we offer prayers for this country and for our democracy. We send well wishes to Matt, who couldn't be here today due to COVID. We wish health and wellness on all in this recent surge. With Debbie Clifford, we're celebrating my friendship of 50 years with my dear friend Lori. And Richard Fay shares, thank you, Bob Adams, for hosting me in the week before I retire to the VA retiring home in Yountville. We celebrate congratulations with Lindsay to my son Asher for celebrating his 13th birthday last week, meeting this milestone with humility and joy, the humility and joy he embodies. I love you. Jessica Ryder shares prayers for my beloved Aunt Susie, who's ill with stage 4 cancer. She's only 62. We need more time with her. We offer prayers for Sergeant Larry Salzberg, who we hear is being starved to death in Saudi Arabia because they will not free him when he returns to the USA. And Ann Wardell shares condolences to Esther Adler and her family on the death of Joe Adler, 93, a UUC member who died August 25th. And I'll share one last celebration because they are not here today to celebrate it, to share it, but Samantha and Gorov, church members, were married here yesterday. Every blessing on their years of love ahead. For all these that we have lifted up aloud, for all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, too tender yet for words, may each of us know that what we bring here to this room or wherever you are joining us from is held in the loving embrace of this community, and by that love beyond all naming, a love that cannot and will not let us go. May it be so, and amen. Let's remain seated as we sing together, Winds Be Still.
Winds be still.
Odds are I'm wrong. I mean about something. I believe a lot of things, and I'm absolutely sure that I'm wrong about a good number of them. I guess not absolutely sure, but the odds are. I was trying to make sense of the world this week, and I was reading Charlie Wartzel in The Atlantic. He was talking about the one thing that united the denizens of the internet this week was a desire for certainty. We just wanted to know exactly who it was and why they'd done it. And in the void of that information not being readily transmissible, story after story after story emerged. This human longing, this need for certainty. Because ambiguity is deeply uncomfortable, isn't it? I know my own need for certainty. I've felt it. I've gotten myself into trouble more times than I'd like to admit, trying to find my own certainty about what somebody else is feeling or thinking, why they're doing what they're doing. I've hurt people that way. And I think that it takes a powerful commitment, a faithful commitment, to hold complexity and ambiguity in the face of all of that need for certainty. But it's not enough to leave it at ambiguity, is it? It's not enough to leave it at complexity. We also have to make choices, have to act, have to do our part to bring this world more into that vision of love and justice that inspires us here to gather together, that calls us daily in our lives. It takes a powerful commitment, a conviction, a faithful conviction to keep humanizing those who refuse to humanize you or those you love. So I've been thinking about the blinders of certainty and the conviction of faith and how you know the difference. How do we know the difference of when we're being led by blinders of certainty versus our convictions of our faith? First, I remember talking about this with a group of teenagers here in this room. I was an intern minister. I was probably 25 years old. These teenagers were sent by their evangelical Christian organization to come to Berkeley, California in their senior year of high school, I think to be inoculated against the bad ideas they were about to encounter when they went off to college. They came with their trustworthy chaperones to Berkeley, California, to engage on the campus of, I don't know, hedonism and hypocrisy and who knows, heresy. And then they came up to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley to be confronted with the strange beliefs of the intern minister. I remember the questions that the chaperones were asking and guiding their children to ask. They were those kind of gotcha questions, looking to, find a hole to show how this whole theology would fall apart under close scrutiny. And I remember articulating to them my clarity, my conviction that there was room for mystery. And the way in which I could see the sparkle in their eyes hearing that, no, that's where we've got them. There's no room for mystery. These kids, they don't want mystery. They want our certainty. It's been a search of our tradition for many years, how to live with conviction without certainty, how to have faith with uncertainty. One of the strands became known as process theology. We were talking about it this week at the first of our class. We're having a theology class this fall. Process theology, which is this way of trying to imagine a God that does not contradict our intellectual sensibilities. And the God of process theology is maybe a God of the verb, not the noun, a becoming, not a being. While Einstein was struggling with the implications of the earliest research into the quantum theory, into the theory of quantum mechanics, when he said, God does not play dice with the universe, his contemporary Alfred North Whitehead was trying to similarly conceive of a God of process. A mathematician and physicist, Whitehead wanted to articulate a vision of God that would hold on to what he cherished about religious traditions while embracing all that was so clear from scientific intellectual discovery. And so his God, he imagined this process God, this unfolding, luring, this pulling humans and all of creation towards God's vision of what could be. And he imagined a list. God would have a list at every moment of everything anyone could possibly do in the next moment to come. And God would have not just that list, but God would rank that list from the very best next possible thing to the worst. And God's job was to lure us towards those best choices while it was our job to try and get there, and we don't mostly. Now, whether or not that's a satisfying idea to you or not, I'm not sure God makes lists, but it's a whole lot better than an algorithm ranking everything and leading us, luring us to the worst possible, the most incendiary, the most extreme, the most rageful and lustful and fearful and reactionary machine designed to exploit human longings in the service of greed, that reduces the infinite fractals of possibility to an efficient marketplace of human attention. John Buren's joined us for this first class, and he referenced, as we were trying to explain what process theology was, the mystical Jewish teacher Rabbi Isaac Luria from the 16th century. He was the one who talked about the idea of tzimtzum, this self-constraining, this self-ensmalling that God would do. The idea was this, that at the beginning, all there was God. It was light to every corner of the universe, and there wasn't room for anything else. And so God shrank God's self in this idea. God shrank God's self in order to allow for more creation to come into being. God shrank oneself in order to give power and agency to other beings, to co-create this unfolding universe with all that would become. When we pay attention to the findings of quantum mechanics, to the unfolding wild randomness of possibility in our own lives, I think we find not just that God plays dice, but God has invited us to a wonderful game of dice, has invited us to consider the odds and possibilities, to listen to our own longings, and to roll along with the divine. Einstein started coming around by the end of his life, in 1945, he wrote in a letter, perhaps it is, that God tirelessly plays dice. Tirelessly plays dice under laws, Einstein said, which he himself prescribed. He wanted some of that certainty still. There's a Buddhist parable about this. One of Buddha's disciples came to him. I'm going to butcher his name, I think. Maelung Yepita. He came to the Buddha and he said, well, I'm not so sure about all of this. This practice, this meditation, this way of life, it seems really hard and rigorous. Before I start, I'd like you to convince me that it's the right thing to do. He said, give me the metaphysics, explain how it all works, make it sensible to me. And Buddha said, it is as if you've been struck with a poison arrow. And here I am offering to remove it for you, teach you how to heal the poison, but you just want to know exactly how deep is this arrow? What is it made out of? How long is the shaft, and from what angle was it shot? Who was it who shot this arrow? What was the bow that they used? Where was it made? How tall was the shooter? What color hair did they have? Who were their family? What beliefs did they subscribe to? You ask me to give you certainty when what you need is practice. The traditions of certainty tell a story in which the end is already foretold. The day of judgment will come, the saved will be separated from the damned, the illusion of this world will finally be revealed, and believers will be given their rewards. The traditions of certainty, be they religious or secular, liberal or conservative, they always have an apocalypse to predict. I know I can go there. But while the odds are that things are going to get a whole lot worse on this planet for our species before they get better, what if the more interesting question is to ask, how would we live if the apocalypse had already happened? The shot's already been fired. The poison arrow is already in your chest. Because for many it has. Peoples, though many of us, even if we have been the recipients of the privilege of belonging to the dominant castes of our country, many of us still know apocalypses that have happened in our own lives or in the lives of our families. Those moments of great collapse. And there are those among us whose people know apocalypse after apocalypse in the history of our country. And so one of my convictions is, in order to survive this moment, we must hear and heed, listen to the wisdom of those who are most marginalized, who have survived the worst brutalities of our country and held on to their humanity. To center the stories and the voices of the marginalized, it's a practice of our faith, a conviction in the face of uncertainty. Because from that wisdom comes a deep humanization. An ability to disagree without dehumanizing. So I looked to one of my professors from Vassar College. He's a best-selling author now, but he was the guy who taught me James Baldwin and Boondocks. His name's Kiese Layman. And he taught me about Baldwin's ability to pierce through the delusions of our society, see with compassion not only the suffering of those on the receiving end of the hatred of racism especially, but the deep alienation within white people at its root, who refused to let his own humanity be diminished by dehumanizing anyone else. So I looked to what Kiese Layman said this week. He said, "I wish that man was not killed." He quoted Kanye West, "Killing's some whack shit." But more than that, I wish that man considered a public and private love for the most vulnerable parts of himself and this nation before he died. I wish the same for all of us. Please, he said, do not offer your good to the gobblers of grace, the great gobblers of grace. They eat suffering. They eat grace. They eat good. They bust us in the heads, gleefully dismantling the few protections the vulnerable have left, but they got heads too. Do not let them take our radical desire for common good. Please. Kiese's thoughts made me think of the story of Megan Phelps Roper. You know who she is? She was the granddaughter of the founder of the Westboro Baptist Church. She grew up in that extreme ideology of certainty. The people who picketed at the funerals of soldiers coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, who spewed the worst hatred against so many in this country, especially the LGBTQ community. She was a loyal foot soldier in their movement. She went on talk shows, was a bright, young, charismatic face of their church, until she found a lifeline to a broader horizon on, of all places, Twitter. What are the odds? And her reflection on it was about non-complimentary behavior. She said, kindness in the face of hostility can have an enormous impact. Those who refused to fight her back, who instead continued to humanize her even as she dehumanized them. That's what changed her life and allowed her to escape from this ideology of certainty. She said the crack is where the grace gets in. She loves this line from The Great Gatsby, reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope. Continuing to humanize those who dehumanize you, that's the crack where grace gets in. Do not let them take our radical desire for common good. The odds aren't looking good. Have faith. Soothe the need for certainty. Double down on your convictions and roll the dice once more. Grace loves a long shot. May it be so, and amen.
On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns a-staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us. And he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. And if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, he turned back towards the window, crushed out a cigarette, and faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to fold 'em, know when to hold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Hello. I'm Celine Fabiano. I'm the secretary of your Board of Trustees. In our covenantal community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by giving generously of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of this church through a financial contribution. There are a couple of ways of doing this. You can give electronically by scanning the QR code on your badge, or you can put a cash or check donation into the donation envelope in the back of the pew in front of you. And when you leave the service, you can put the envelope into the donation box beside the fountain. Each week, half of our offering is shared with a nonprofit good neighbor.
The good neighbor for this month is No More Tears. No More Tears is a violence and crime prevention program founded in 2002 by incarcerated men at San Quentin and concerned citizens, both seeking to remedy the rise of violent crime in their communities and reduce the recidivism rate of returning citizens. Thank you for giving generously as you are able. And now, if you'll join me in rededicating ourselves to the mission of this church. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service.
Hola, buenos días. You're getting louder every week. I love that. Buenos días. Me llamo Charis Tomador. My name is Charis Tomador. If you're new to our church and you'd like to learn more about how to get connected, I welcome you to find me or any of the greeters at the welcome table in the atrium after the service. To find out what's happening in the life of our community, you can always check the news link on our website, where you'll find our weekly email newsletter, The Week Ahead, which includes a list of activities, announcements, and contact information. This week, I'd like to especially lift up, as you heard earlier, the Chalice Circle registration opens today. If you are interested, please visit the table at the atrium to sign up or pick the one that you'd like to join. On September 21st, we're having 2 autumn equinox events. At 3 p.m., join the Mystery Moon Circle for an autumnal equinox ritual. And at 7 p.m., you may join Reverend Marcus for Church de Soleil. It'll be an evening of music, stories, and twilight connection. On September 27th, we have Brian Baker and Friends, and they invite you to Beethoven and the Bard, a program of piano pieces inspired by Shakespeare. And one more announcement from our Social Justice Council. Take it away.
Oh, noes. Come play. It's today. It's today. 5:30, come eat, come play, come build the common good.
Thank you, thank you. Let's rise, embody your spirit, and sing a closing hymn together. This is Guide My Feet. No, not that one. Let's reach our hands out or touch a shoulder and be connected. Oh. Infinite possibilities. Uncertainty and mistakes. Challenges and changes. Odds are we're wrong. Odds are the world needs our love now more than ever. Roll the dice. You're invited. Amen, and blessed be. Mm-hmm. Thanks. Oh, thanks, Reed. Hey there, I hear you're going to help welcome people. Thank you. Oh, am I still booming out here?
Skipping and switching the verses is just killing me.
Oh, I know. I know. We got some work to do. Yeah.
Really got some.
Thanks.